Hello. It's been a while since our last episode. We've been a bit busy. But welcome to the Market Maven episode 6, our climate change issue. So this time around, we have surveyed 30 people in Calgary, a city in the province of Alberta in Canada. The question asked is, in a scale of 1 to 10, how grave is the climate change problem and what could be some solutions? So, quite the good news. The average score rating is 8.12 out of 10. It's high, meaning that the Calgarians generally do think that climate change is a grave issue we face, hence something that could be given more focus on to solving.
Yeah, I think there's a really big problem. I think it has to be addressed right away. I think 10.
So it's a 10. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
10 for
Okay.
sure. I do believe that that climate is something that we should be taking a look at. As for what we should be doing,
The issue is felt to be pretty much everywhere.
I think you can feel it, see it out there right now. You can, from even just clips that you see, put on the internet and things like that. You see devastation happening. You see all this world chaos that's happening. You see it out there, and then it's talked about a lot, right? You hear a lot of people talking about it. So.
Rating
Because
of
of what I've heard and what I have, basically it's just what I've heard and tried to, I don't know, you can kind of notice it a little with the way the weather has changed and stuff. I didn't really give it much thought.
Okay. All right.
Interestingly, as a country, few Canadians surveyed think that the country's efforts are better than some other countries.
I think we're doing our part. I think other countries need to step up and, do things to combat that.
And I know Canadian cities aren't as bad, but definitely in other places in the world, whether that be India, China, where pollution is so heavy.
Okay.
We've already taken some steps, but I did just read that China is releasing CFCs and other things into the environment, so making sure that all countries are on board with the same kind of policies.
On a more global consideration, some are a bit more introspective, recognizing that they themselves need to know more about the issue, and that unfortunately, many people seem to not even be bothered by it and more so act on it as people necessarily should.
I wouldn't say I'm educated enough. I don't search it up enough.
Yeah.
So I'm not really sure, but I definitely need to look into that more.
Okay.
I think we pollute maximum.
We pollute maximum.
Yes, and there are more and more people and more activity, factories, and we don't necessarily do good action to limit this.
we already have the resources to stop it, so I don't see why we're not using those said resources. Like, for example, we do use the wind turbines, but do we use them as effectively as we should? Probably not. Same with solar power.
Okay.
Solar power is the easiest solution. It doesn't cost a lot of money. We do have deserts for a reason. Like, I don't know what else to say about that. Like, there's easy solutions that I feel like we should use, but we aren't. So.
A number of interviewed survey participants acknowledge and agree that there is a huge task ahead.
I think it's pretty grave, 8 or 9, I guess.
Okay.
As far as solutions, I don't know. I think we might be past the tipping point. I guess I would make it a 10, wouldn't it?
Okay.
Yeah.
Tough call. I don't know. The whole green car solution is great, but there's still a lot of rollout to be done. There's a lot of damage that still to be done to the earth to harvest stuff.
So to answer the follow-up question, what are the proposed solutions of Calgarians? Impressively, the answers our participants came up with transcended offering solutions for climate change alone, or the change in climate patterns caused by increased levels of atmospheric carbon dioxide produced by the use of fossil fuels. So a lot of responses also touched on considerations for the Earth's sustainability and how the planet that everyone calls home can last for many generations. So first off, the solution they proposed is increased awareness. And this includes being proactive in taking steps ourselves to becoming more aware on how we, as the planet's inhabitants, can contribute to solutions.
I don't know, I guess let people know.
I think you can't stop that it's going to get, that the climate is changing and it's potentially getting warmer, but the Earth is not naturally a cold place. Like, but we may be accelerating it. So I think we need to be aware of that.
Okay.
Of it.
Well, education is the first step.
Okay.
Yeah, people first have to realize that there is a problem.
Mm-hmm.
And once they realize there's a problem, they have to start acting accordingly.
Okay.
So second is observing a disciplined, guided, positive behavior in actions as individuals.
Doing like putting things in the correct, like compost and recycling, and just trying to do that as much as possible.
Get the activists to stop flying around complaining all the time because they're burning up gas.
Just more public awareness and conscious decision making by consumers to look at what they're doing and buying environmentally responsible products. I know I've changed some of my shopping habits in the past few years to sort of make better choices.
I think climate change is a big problem. But I don't know, I think people have to be more careful with their resources.
Given that the Earth's resources is limited, while the population of its inhabitants grow in number, the third suggested solution involves minimizing consumption of fuel, of products that deplete resources.
We need to cut down on what we're using. That type of thing. That's the resources.
Driving less, consuming less.
Okay.
Consuming less is a big one.
Consuming less of
everything.
Of everything.
Yeah.
Okay.
What's the problem? Quit driving SUVs and pickup trucks.
Okay. Anything else?
Reduce fuel consumption. Yeah.
Personally, use less fossil fuels, obviously.
Okay.
Recycle when possible. Try to use less resources.
Just cutting down on pollution, like whether that be switching over to hybrid cars or just fully electric.
Less pollution.
10. Okay.
One of the solutions that I take is I ride my bike.
Okay.
Probably reduce garbage.
Okay.
Plastic and all that.
Limit our trash.
Being aware of what we're doing to the planet in terms of packaging and garbage that we produce and garbage we use. Being a very disposable society.
Okay.
Changing from that, the manufacturing alone would. The things we purchase, the stuff we have that is disposable, it's one use and throw out. And even if we think we're recycling, as we've learned recently with clamshell packaging and things that can't be recycled here, or the garbage we have being shipped back to our country, clearly we're not recycling it. So I think those are the quicker answers.
At number 10.
All right.
And solutions for it, like ban all disposable plastic, one-time use plastics, would be a big one.
Quite sensibly, the fourth one includes restoration for improved state of natural resources.
Try to clean the oceans. I know it's easier said than done, but stuff like that.
Basically, renewable energy, making sure that we're reducing atmospheric pollution levels.
The fifth offered solution is on preventive measures to avoid further decline of the state of our natural resources, specifically recycling, encouraging renewables, enabling lesser pollutants, opting for lesser carbon footprint, and utilizing available or new technologies.
Okay. Recycle when possible, try to use less resources.
We should develop new ways of life and to use renewable energy.
Great, probably 9. What can you do? Renewable energies, solar.
Okay, anything
solar
else?
Energy.
Solar panels, definitely doing a big leap lately, so good on them.
Okay.
Wind farms, definitely a good option. Other than that, everyone keeps protesting nuclear, but
okay.
as long as they can deal with the cleanup, they're a great alternative.
Okay.
I I think I know Albertans don't like the idea, but I think we have to move away from oil. I think we have to work on renewable energy and resources.
Despite the fact I live in this city, obviously going away from fossil fuel, and I don't mean that today, I mean that as we come up, obviously finding alternative measures.
Yeah, consuming locally if possible. Not shipping things across the world that we can grow or make right here.
Okay.
That would probably help.
Solutions?
Yeah.
New technology.
Okay. Can you elaborate a bit more on like what
Solar power or new inventions like that. Clean up the oceans of all the plastic. Just new technology that will reverse the effects of climate change.
All right.
So sixth, to ensure that all the actions and activities towards solutions are implemented and overseen by people who are right for the job, another offered solution is the angle on the government component locally and globally.
I think there are things that we can do as individuals, but I think in the end it comes down to a lot of government policies. It's a global issue, and we need to look at things that we can do on an individual basis, but there are a lot of things that are bigger than us, and I think that's why it's become such a problem, because it's hard to get different governments from different countries to work together. It's hard to get different government organizations to work together in the first place, even from the same government. And it's a really global problem. It's not, the environment doesn't follow lines we make, imaginary lines, right? So I think working better between countries, voting in governments that prioritize it.
As far as solutions go, government's making the hard choice rather than going the soft option for their own progressive power.
Okay, can you just elaborate a bit more on that?
Instead of making policies that circumvent or try to put band-aids on it, they're not focusing on the real issues that are causing the problems, because they don't want to get in the way of corporatalism, or they don't want to put detrimental backstops on the companies that are actually producing most of the pollution, because they're getting kickbacks or they're getting incentives from either job offers down the line when they're no longer politicians, or instances of currying favor. So if they actually did their jobs and made hard choices rather than looking for the easy way out.
8. And proactive government enforcement, more regulation, all that other fun stuff.
It's proactive enforcement and more government regulations.
All that other,
9 to 10.
Okay.
And I think it is very important in our own governments, the politicians, they create a new laws, new rules that can help us preserve the environment. For instance, they can not tax fees on electrical cars, for instance. That would be a great motivation for the population to buy those cars. Or renewable energy, they could lower the taxes, lower the fees, so it's get easier for the population. And I think that's a great start. If the government start changing that and see that as a good thing, I think the environment will be way better. The environment issue.
Create incentives for clean power and other forms of energy.
Last but not the least, solve the interconnected issue of poverty.
And I think you can't ignore the link between poverty and climate issues. Also working on poverty, as much as we can do at poverty on a global level, because that's where a lot of the issues come from. And you can't tell someone they can't eat, Ask someone what's more important, the environment or whether their kids eat. They're going to say whether their kids eat.
And there you have it. Solutions for one of the world's major problems, spoken by randomly sampled survey participants themselves. So thank you for watching the Market Maven, and see you again next